to do it. The military on American soil? Check. A national emergency declaration? Also check.
It's a guardrail moment for America. There's nothing more sacred or more serious that you could ask an American service member to do than deploy opposite American civilians. And obviously, there's no General Milley there now to stop a deployment like this. So we'll find out if the Secretary of Defense is confirmed and how the senior leadership and the Joint Chiefs respond to it. But I think every American should be extremely cautious about anybody who says they want to deploy American troops on U.S. soil.
Number one, they're not being deployed against American citizens. They're being deployed against the illegal immigration population, which, by the way, I think most people would agree is a national emergency, a national security emergency. Number two, for years, we've been deploying the National Guard to the
wildfires.
To the border.
For wildfires.
No, to the border.
In small numbers.
To the.
This is a very different thing.
Many state. No,
you can't deploy them to.
You got to make your speech.
Is it a debate with you, or am I answering questions with the host? Because every time I come on, you want to sidetrack and take me into your talking points.
By all means.
No.
Have at it, my friend. You're the expert. Have at it.
No, I'm no expert. I'm just a concerned
You act like one. Have we or have we not?
Have you served in uniform?
I have served as a United States citizen and have read the
but
newspaper.
But I think in this case, I might have a bit of experience that you don't. I'm no expert.
Have you been to the border?
I have not been to the border.
Oh, so
I also haven't been deployed to the border.
Go ahead, by all means.
Regular military. Is there?
All right, guys. So we got to talk about more fallout from Trump announcing that yes, he will declare a national emergency and use the military to deal with the illegal immigration problem, okay? Whether that be mass deportations, using the military to carry those out, or also using the military to secure the border. All options are on the table, okay? Because this is what the American people voted for. However, liberals are not ready to accept that the American people voted for the largest mass deportation operation in American history. And they're already coming out and they're saying if Trump uses the military on the illegal immigrants, then they are going to protest, right? They're going to be protesting out in the streets against the military if the military is used to round up illegal immigrants in some of these shelters and to send them back to their countries. Take a look.
I would just tell you that the election results tell me the priority that the American people want focused on is illegal immigration.
That doesn't mean they
want
this used as a
they want this solved now.
They want to solve it. They don't want the 82nd Airborne dropping in New York City.
I'll tell you something.
I think you're being a little dramatic.
I have a shelter in my neighborhood, actually right in my neighborhood, on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. There is a shelter that houses undocumented immigrants. And I can guarantee you, I can promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably be one of those people, that if anybody comes for these people and tries to drag them out by force, there will be protests of people like me, American citizens, who are going to stand there and do everything possible to prevent these women and children, which is all who these people are.
How about the criminals? How about the terrorists? How about the convicted?
How do you sort
Stop. How do you know who it is?
How do you sort through
That's the problem.
Stop. I'm sorry. I live next to these people. I can tell you they are women and they are children. Are there terrorists among them? I don't know. But I can tell you that
neither does the government, which is why we have to figure this out.
Okay, but what I'm telling you right now, practically speaking, is that there will be people, American citizens, who will prevent these little kids from being dragged out of these shelters. There are. And what's going to happen to these people? What is going to happen to the military when the military opens fire on us?
No one's.
Can you say? Hang on one sec, Chuck.
We're way down a rabbit hole here.
The challenge of sorting through them is mammoth. We had a hard time doing it in Iraq. Okay, our troops have had a hard time doing it in Afghanistan. Trying to ask them to sort through who's who and implement a policy like this, here in the United States is like nothing we've ever seen.
Actually,
maybe the only precedent we have is internment camps during World War II against Japanese Americans, but there's not a military precedent for sorting through who on the Upper East Side is an illegal and who's not. And you're asking a 19-year-old, right, holding a weapon, who signed up to serve his or her country, to thrust themselves into maybe the most fraught political topic that we've got in this country. People want a solution, but they don't necessarily want that one.
You've twice now insinuated that Trump's going to send the military to round up American citizens, which is totally false. There are 1.3 to 1.6 million illegal immigrants in this country today who have already received deportation orders from a court. You can start there. There's another population, as Mark said, that have either committed violent crimes in the United States or committed violent crimes where they came from. You can also do that. That has nothing to do with the people in your neighborhood, has nothing to do with the person in your office, and has nothing to do with whatever the hell you're talking about. It has to
Trump
do
said all
with
15
getting
million.
people out of the country
then how
who do
Trump-
not belong.
Trump said all 15
how are you
million.
going to deploy the military? Give me how exactly you would deploy an active duty military unit to respond to this crisis.
I would use the military in conjunction with local officials,
But what does that look
local
like?
law enforcement, county sheriffs, people who know their communities, because I assume a lot of the local sheriffs and jailers are going to be the people who end up housing some of these folks before they are deported. But there has
What's
to be
the task
some
and purpose? What's the mission for that young private? What is he actually going to be tasked to do? Guard a gate? Or is he going to be investigating?
I don't know. I wasn't elected
But you're
president,
sitting here on CNN saying we should do it. I think you should think out a little bit more about what they actually should be required to do.
Who do not
'Cause
belong
it sounds
here.
real good.
One at a time. Scott, quickly. Then
There are
Paul.
millions of people who came into the country illegally, who have already received deportation orders, or who have committed some other crime while they've been here. The fact that you want to leave them in place is mind-boggling.
That is not
to
what
me.
I said. That is not what I said. The question becomes, what are you actually going to give them as a military assignment? Are they going to be guards on a gate? Are they going to be MPs doing checkpoints? Are they going to be doing crowd control against civilians who are protesting? Are they going to be JAG officers sorting through legal cases? What they actually are assigned to do is very important. And when that's put before the American people, I think we can find out what they do and don't support.
All right, last
And that's what my point was. And we use the military all the time on floods, on other kinds of dangerous situations. And I have a feeling, I don't know to be true, but you're going to have the same theory, which is federal support of state and local leadership. You also have an entire agency in ICE that does this for a living. That's their job. And I could see an area where the military is in a support role, whether it's on the border or with these agencies or local officials.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, that was a very, very, very interesting discussion. Okay, and the reason why is because clearly you can see liberals are freaking out about the possibility of the military being used to help conduct mass deportations. And they're freaking out because they are trying to essentially frame this as the military potentially being used on the American people, right? That veteran claim that, hey, we should be very, very, very concerned anytime the military is deployed on American soil, as if that's never happened before, right? As if we've never used the National Guard on American soil to deal with domestic issues, right? The National Guard is a part of the military. Also, on top of that, using the military on American soil does not mean using the military against the American people, because illegal immigrants are not American citizens, right? I love how liberals try to engage in this dishonest reframing of the conversation, because again, they know that most of the American people do not agree with them. Furthermore, where are all these people boohoo-whining and crying about the military being used against American citizens when New York, the Democrats, Kathy Hochul, they were doing that in the New York City subways, right? You guys remember that? You guys remember the National Guard being deployed to the New York City subways because crime was so out of control, even though they kept telling us that crime was down, right? Crime was down, but they have to deploy the National Guard to the subways of New York City. Like, quite literally, they used the National Guard, the military, against the American people, right? They used them against the American citizens. But where were these people boohoo-whining and crying? Say, oh, you need to be very careful about that, right? That's something that we need to make sure that you have clear orders and assignments before you do that, right? Where were all these people at? They were silent. They had nothing to say about it. Now, all of a sudden, Trump says, okay, let's use the military against people who are here illegally in order to round them up and have them deported. Now, all of a sudden, they want to boohoo-whine and cry about it. Talk about they're going to protest, right? They're going to protest. And, hey, my response to them potentially protesting the military being used to round up the illegal immigrants is, hey, if you protest and you end up getting hurt, something ends up happening to you, then that's on you, right? That's on you. You're not going to get any tears from me. I'm not going to be one of these people that are going to be out here boohoo-whining. Oh, we shouldn't do this. This is mean. This is bad. Hey, if you want to win a darn award, go for it, right? Go for it, okay? That's on you, right? That's my answer to that question. I'm not going to be guilt-tripped. You're not going to sob story me into feeling bad for illegal immigrants getting deported, right? Just because a few protesters decide they want to try to play hero and get in the way of the military, rounding up the illegal immigrants. Now, again, we don't even know if that's how it's going to go down, right? Trump saying that he's going to use military assets to conduct mass deportations does not mean that you're going to have the military actually going into shelters rounding up people, right? It just means that we're going to treat mass deportations as a military operation. Now, the details of that are to be decided and worked out at a later date, right? But again, all of this fear-mongering from the liberals is an attempt to try to get the American people to have buyer's remorse, right? This is what they're trying to do more so than anything. They want you to regret voting for Trump because he's saying that he's going to do the things that he promised that he was going to do. And he's actually making moves, right? He's actually making the moves necessary to do it. So again, they want to boohoo, whine, and cry about it before they even know exactly how he's going to get it done. Now, at the very least, in my opinion, when you talk about specifically what should the military be doing in regards to helping out with the illegal immigration problem, well, first and foremost, I think that it's an excellent idea to use the military because we misuse our military overseas quite a bit, right? I think we're wasting a whole lot of money using the military overseas to fight regime change wars that quite honestly don't benefit the American people. If we could divert some of that attention away from these foreign conflicts, right, and have our military be used at the border instead of adding more money to ICE or for more border patrol agents, again, why don't we just divert the resources that we're using unnecessarily overseas, right? Like, for example, in Ukraine, right? Let's divert some of that money we're spending. Let's divert some of the troops that we have stationed overseas. Let's divert them to the border. Hey, your assignment is now at the border, okay? And now all of a sudden, you're not having to add to the budget. You're taking money that we're already spending and you're saying, okay, we're going to spend it here in America, right, to actually protect America, right, at the southern border rather than to protect some other country overseas, right? I'm just saying that to me makes a whole lot of sense. And when you have more of the military at the border, they're going to be more equipped to deal with the cartels who are very dangerous, right? And they're going to help the border control, okay? Because the problem with the border is that, yeah, there are not enough personnel at the border. What happens is that you have a lot of these cartels trafficking people into the country, right? And they bring a whole bunch of people to the border. Okay, once they get across the border, they're told by the cartels, hey, this is how you seek asylum. Okay, let the Border Patrol know that you're here and you're seeking asylum. Okay, and because Joe Biden basically allows anybody to seek asylum these days, that diverts a lot of the resources from border control, right? Actual agents to these spots on the border where people are coming in seeking asylum, right? These mass groups of people coming in. That takes away border control from other parts of the border. And then the cartels use that in order to smuggle drugs into the country through parts of the border that are no longer protected because you have personnel being redirected to deal with the asylum seekers. And the way that you can fill that gap is to have the military be deployed to those areas across the border. That way you prevent that situation from happening. You will always have personnel there no matter what. Now, that's just my opinion on what I would do, right? I think, again, at the very least, the military should be deployed at the border, right? 100%. And I don't understand why is this such a controversial thing? Why is it so controversial to have the military actually protect America for once, right? Why is that so controversial? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, right? But when you talk about these liberal cities and the potential role of the military, the way I see it is this. It's just like the conservatives laid out on the panel. In the ideal world, yeah, you're not going to have the military on the ground conducting the mass deportations, going into shelter, pulling people out. No, you're not going to have that if local law enforcement is cooperating. If local law enforcement is cooperating, they will work in conjunction together in the sense that local law enforcement will have access to military assets and military help if need be, right? For example, if you have a situation where you're dealing with some dangerous gang like Tren de Agua, which is operating across the country at this point, right? And they're taking over apartments and stuff like that. The extremely dangerous situations where, again, it might be useful to have some military help in regards to trying to take down the gang across the country, right? You make it a military operation to take down the gang, okay? Then yeah, that actually might make some sense, okay? That might make some sense. But again, that assumes that local law enforcement is going to cooperate. Now, the problem is that in a lot of these sanctuary cities across the country, local law enforcement, they're not going to be cooperating because of the woke Democrats running the city saying, no, they can't cooperate. And if that's the case, then yeah, we may have to put some boots on the ground in some of these cities and do what we got to do. And yeah, it might not be pretty. The liberals, they might get their feelings hurt, but it has to happen. And if you don't want it to get ugly, then what they really should be doing is that they should be encouraging the Democrat leadership, the governors, the mayors that are now coming out saying they're not going to cooperate with Trump. They should be encouraging them to cooperate. If they cooperate, then you're not going to see too many military personnel on the ground conducting mass deportations, going into shelters and places like that, rounding up illegal immigrants, as long as local law enforcement cooperates, right? If these sanctuary cities cooperate, this will be a smooth operation, right? It'll be an easy operation, and you're not going to have any scenes that are going to make people uncomfortable, right? But if they choose not to cooperate, which they're saying right now they're not going to cooperate, then yeah, that's when things could get ugly, because the mass deportations have to happen. Okay, they have to happen. So again, it's hard to work out what the exact role of the military will be, because again, we don't know who's going to cooperate, who's not going to cooperate, right? Sides are being drawn right now. Okay, sides are being drawn. There's some people like Eric Adams who's saying, well, hey, I can't say whether I will or I won't cooperate, which means he's going to cooperate, right? And then you got other people like Brandon Johnson and the woke Boston mayor, Michelle Wu, saying, well, we're not going to cooperate, right? So again, it depends on which city we're operating in. Which cities are cooperating, which cities are not cooperating. So it's complicated. And just because it's complicated doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, right? That's the argument that this guy, the veteran, is making, is that, well, it's really complicated. Okay, so are you arguing that we shouldn't do it just because it's complicated? Or should we, I don't know, let's work out the details to figure out how we can get it done, right? And how the military can help, which I think is what the plan is, right? Let's do that, and let's get the mass deportations going. Okay, these people literally are arguing that, well, it's complicated, therefore we shouldn't do it, right? It's like, nah. That's not how this works. Just because it's complicated doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, right? It's complicated to invade a country like Iraq, okay, to take down Saddam Hussein and to invade Afghanistan, but the military still did it, right? They still did it. So I don't want to hear anything about, oh, it's too complicated and that liberals are going to be upset. That's never stopped the military from conducting operations overseas, okay, for reasons that, really don't have all that much to do with protecting America. So why should it stop them from conducting operations here that actually protect this country? I'm just saying. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.